Welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Baddies Africa review, so let's just get right into it because a lot of drama happened in this episode. So this episode picks up where the last one left off, where the baddies are at a club booking and everything's going fine at first. Everybody's having a good time dancing and on the microphone, and then all of a sudden you see Summer and Kold Killa kind of arguing with each other in the corner, and all of a sudden Summer takes a bottle and she tosses it towards Kold Killa. Now I did not see Kold Killa or any of the other baddies get hit with the bottle. Tavii claims that she got hit with the bottle, but I didn't see that. But I still don't agree with Summer throwing a bottle. I feel like that's dangerous. If somebody had gotten hit in the head with that, they could have gotten knocked out, or worse, they could have ended up in the hospital or something. So I don't agree with Summer throwing a bottle. I think she was drunk and I think she took things a little bit too far. But then Kold Killa started throwing bottles and everything else at Summer, and they were just going crazy in the club. I was honestly surprised that they all did not end up getting kicked out. But after the fight got broken up between Kold Killa and Summer, everybody was partying, having a good time again. But Summer was too drunk. She was falling all over the place, and security ended up carrying her outside of the club. But the next day, all of the baddies were kind of in separate groups, and they were talking about everything that went down at the club, and everybody pretty much agreed that Summer was wrong for throwing a bottle. And I do agree she was wrong and she shouldn't have done that. But at the end of the day, I feel like the only time people make anything that happens a big deal is when Summer, Dolly, or Lex do it. Because I'm not saying that what Summer did was right, but they didn't have this energy when Fania was at the club snatching microphones from people and throwing stuff at people. Nobody said anything. Nobody said anything when Ivory was choking people and grabbing people by their necks. Nobody said anything when Diamond climbed up the pole and dropped down, did an elbow drop on top of people. Nobody said anything about that. But when it's one of the big three that does something, they make it a huge deal. I just feel like none of them should be doing any of that stuff at the club. I just think it's messy, and I feel like when they're out at club bookings, I feel like they should be able to compose themselves, especially because clubs can be pretty chaotic. So the last thing anybody needs is all the baddies fighting with each other when there's fights that break out at the clubs all the time. So I definitely agree with Kold Killa on that. You should be able to feel safe when you go into the club with the other baddies and not feel like anybody's going to touch you or throw anything at you. You should not have to feel like you have to be on guard at the club with the people that you showed up to the club with. Even if they're people you're beefing with, when you get to the club, I feel like all of that should be dropped until you get back to the house. But Scotty starts saying that Lex wants an apology from her for ripping up her wig, and Scotty says that she's not giving Lex an apology. And honestly, I don't feel like Scotty should give Lex an apology either, only because I just feel like you shouldn't apologize to somebody if you don't mean it. Like, what's the point of saying sorry if it's not genuine? So I really don't feel like she owes Lex an apology. And Scotty starts telling Rollie that she doesn't understand why Lex wants an apology for her wig getting ripped when she threw Tavii's wig in the fire a few episodes ago. And look, they showed the clip of it and it was obvious that it was an accident. Lex was kind of holding up the wig and kind of swinging it around, and it fell into the fire, and she immediately grabbed it out and tried to shake it out. So I don't think that she did it on purpose, but I understand where Scotty was coming from. If you just messed up somebody else's wig, you can't complain about yours. But the fire thing was an accident. You can definitely see that it was. But the baddies end up going beer tasting, and it was crazy immediately. Like, as soon as they walked into the beer tasting place, as soon as Kold Killa saw Summer walking in, she immediately took her wig off and she ran up on Summer, and the two of them started fighting with each other. Now, I will say, at the beginning, it looked like Kold Killa was kind of getting Summer, but at the end of the fight, Summer was definitely catching Kold Killa. So I'll give that fight a tie only because they both were able to get some hits in. Like, at the beginning of the fight, I thought Kold Killa was taking over the fight, and then at the end of the fight, I felt like Summer was taking over. And when that fight is broken up, Diamond immediately ends up addressing Summer and telling her that she needs to admit that she was wrong for throwing the bottle at the club. Now, Summer did say that she shouldn't have thrown a bottle at the club, but she didn't really seem to feel bad about it. And look, Diamond was right. Summer was wrong for throwing a bottle. However, I feel like Diamond is a little bit biased because when it's somebody that she's friends with causing chaos at the club or anything like that, she doesn't say anything about it. But when it's a girl she doesn't like, she tries to call it out. So I don't really take Diamond serious with her calling out, Summer, because I know that if it was one of the girls that she's cool with on the show that threw a bottle at the club, I don't think that she would have said anything. Rollie was being really messy though and stirring up drama at this beer tasting, which definitely made the episode more entertaining. And honestly, I was with her because a lot of the girls were yelling over each other and we couldn't hear what anybody was saying. So I do like that she took over the conversation, but she was definitely being messy and stirring up drama, even old drama with people. And I feel like if that was Natalie that was doing that, I definitely feel like the fans would have called Natalie out and said that she was messy and she throws rocks and hides her hand. But when it came to Rollie, nobody said that Rollie was being messy, and she definitely was. Rollie ends up bringing up the beef between Summer and Pretty P about Pretty P's watch getting thrown in the pond by Summer, and basically she asked the two of them if they wanted to fight again, and Pretty P said no, she didn't want to fight Summer again. And honestly, I was glad that Pretty P said that she did not want to fight Summer again, because their fights are not entertaining, and neither Pretty P or Summer can really fight that good, so I was not interested in seeing that again. But then Scotty starts throwing a little bit of shade at Latina Rose, because Latina Rose was sitting there quiet while all the other girls were arguing with each other, and Scotty wanted to know if Latina Rose had anything to say, and Latina said that she didn't have anything to say because nothing that the girls were arguing about had anything to do with her, because it was before she came on the show, which is true, and so I understand why she's quiet. So Scotty told her that she jumped into something that didn't have anything to do with her with Diamond and Natalie though when she first came, and that is true. Scotty did clock that. However, I do feel like Scotty's the type of person to, you know, talk to somebody the way she's talking to Latina Rose, and then if Latina Rose would have got up and popped her in her face, then she would have been crying saying that she didn't do anything. And it's like, you can't talk to people like that or throw shade at people, and then when they come back at you, you act like you're innocent and you didn't do anything. Now, Latina didn't get up and, you know, go at Scotty, but if she would have, fans would have said that she was coming for Scotty for no reason, even though Scotty kind of came for her first. But Kay Rican ends up showing up late to the beer tasting. Obviously, we know that she had to go to court and get that situation settled. So she comes back and she joins the rest of the girls. And when she sat down, Lex ended up asking her how court went, and she said that it went well. And that's when Diamond the Body started to shade Big Lex, telling her that she was talking to the ops and she thought that she didn't like when people talk to their ops after they fought them. And Tavii ends up immediately jumping in, because that's the whole reason why her and Lex started beefing in the first place, is because right after Tavii was fighting Fania, Kold Killa, and Kay Rican, she tried to talk to Fania like right after and was like talking to her in her face. And the next episode, Lex ended up questioning Tavii about that on the Sprinter, and that's why the two of them started fighting with each other. So she's basically trying to say that Lex is doing the same thing that she did. Now, I will say I do think that Lex shouldn't have questioned Tavii about talking to Fania after she just fought them, because I don't feel like it had anything to do with her. However, I don't think Lex asking, you know, Kay Rican how her court case went is the same thing as Tavii trying to befriend Fania right after she just fought her. Like, that's not the same thing. So everybody's yelling over each other. So Rollie decides that she's going to be the referee, and she starts going down the line of girls, asking them who they have an issue with, and when they say who they have a problem with, they have to get up and fight them. So Rollie goes down the line and she starts asking Elsie if she has a problem with anybody, and Elsie says she has a problem with Kay Rican. So her and Kay Rican run up on each other and start fighting. Honestly, it was a lame fight. It wasn't really a fight. They ran up on each other. Kay Rican threw a drink in Elsie's face. Elsie grabbed onto Kay Rican, holding her, giving her a great big bear hug, and Kay Rican was trying to swing over Elsie's arms. So I really don't feel like anybody won that fight, but I guess I'll give it to Kay Rican because she was the one swinging and Elsie wasn't. I don't even know why Elsie gets up and fights, because honestly, she doesn't fight. She just gives you a bear hug. So then Rollie goes down the line again, and she ends up asking Tavii who she has a problem with, and Tavii immediately says that she has a problem with Lex. So she calls out Lex for a fight, and Tavii walks up on Lex and she throws a full cup of beer in Lex's face. So Lex goes and gets a cup of beer and she throws it in Tavii's face, and then the two of them start fighting with each other. And I'm sorry, Lex whooped her once again. Tavii really didn't get any hits in on Lex. Lex just beat her ass. I'm sorry. I feel like Tavii really needs to stop trying to fight Lex. I don't know what point she's trying to prove by continuously fighting Lex, but she needs to stop, because every time she fights her, she just gets beat up. I'm sorry, she does. I don't care if you don't like Lex, she still whoops Tavii every single time that they fight with each other. I have yet to see a fight where Tavii won. Now, Lex and Tavii do fight a second round, but neither one of them really did anything in the second round. I think Lex caught Tavii a couple of times, and then security was holding them back, and Tavii was trying to swing on Lex over security, and Lex fell from security, knocking her down, and that was the end of that fight. So to me, the second round, neither one of them really did anything. But after that fight was broken up, Scotty started saying that Lex is bigger than that and she should stop fighting Tavii. And it's like, girl, Tavii called her out for the fight, so that's why she fought her. What is she supposed to do? Just sit there after she gets a drink thrown in her face? Like, no. Then Rollie tries to stir up beef between Fania and Dolly that was old. Like, literally, I think it was like the fight that they had in the second episode. I think Lex and Fania were fighting with each other, and this is the fight where the bonnet went over Lex's face, and that's when Dolly and Summer kind of got involved, and Dolly ended up throwing like noodles around over where Fania was at, and then the two of them started fighting with each other, and Rollie brought that up. Like, she brought up getting hit with noodles, and that stirred up a whole fight between Fania and Dolly. Which, I'm sorry, I thought that was crazy that Rollie got away with doing that and nobody told her she was wrong for it. I think it was Tavii, was yelling that was old and she didn't know why Rollie was bringing that up. And it's true, that was really old. Like, why would you bring up a fight that they had at the very beginning of the season to stir up a fight between them? And like I said earlier in my review, if Natalie was the one that did that, everybody would be dragging Natalie all over social media right now. And Rollie did feel some type of way about Tavii, saying that it was old beef and she didn't know why it was being brought up, to the point where she pulled Tavii to the side and told her that she needs to watch her tone and her delivery when she's talking to her. Now, Rollie did say it nicely to Tavii, because I don't think she wanted to beat up Tavii and that's why she was being nice about it, but she definitely felt some type of way. But Fania and Dolly start fighting with each other, and this first round, I honestly feel like neither one of them really did anything in the first round. They were fighting over security basically, and was pulling each other's hair and kind of swinging over, pulling each other's hair. So to me, the first round wasn't really anything. I feel like people were saying that Fania won that round, but I didn't really see that when I watched it in slow motion. I would give it a tie, or I would say that neither one of them won that first round, but I wouldn't say one won over the other. And I guess Fania needed to catch her breath after that first round with Dolly, because she was in the corner saying that she needed a second, and Dolly wasted no time running up on her and fighting her again. And this time, Dolly definitely won this second round between her and Fania. I mean, she popped her straight in the nose and her nose was bleeding. And I don't know if Fania's eyes were teary just because her nose was bleeding and it kind of hurt a little bit, or if she was getting ready to cry because she couldn't believe that she got popped in the nose like that. But she was definitely in the other room really upset about her nose bleeding. So yeah, I'm giving that second round to Dolly. And after the fight was broken up between Dolly and Fania, Diamond runs up to the big three and she's joking around with them, telling them if she could be adopted by them and she can be on their side. And I think she was saying that because they can fight better than the girls that she's linked up with this season. The only person that Diamond had on her side that could actually fight was Ivory, and Ivory's not there no more, so she's stuck with a bunch of girls that keep getting beat up. All of a sudden, Lex and Scotty start fighting with each other because Scotty was saying that she's not biased and that she treats all the girls the same, but she went to go check on Fania and she didn't go check on Dolly. So Lex was telling Scotty that she needs to check on Dolly too. So the two of them are going back and forth with each other. Honestly, I wasn't expecting Scotty to go check on Dolly because it's very clear from this season that she doesn't really like Dolly, so I wasn't expecting her to go check on her at all. But Lex and Scotty start going back and forth with each other, and Scotty starts telling Lex that she's not going to give her an apology, so Lex ends up taking a cup of beer and she throws it in Scotty's face, and then Scotty takes a drink and she throws it back in Lex's face, and Scotty's taking her shoes off even though we know that she was not going to fight Lex and security was not going to allow it to happen. And I'm glad that Lex told Scotty she was not going to fight her, because it's pointless to try to fight Scotty at this point. Security overly protects Scotty at the end of the day, so nobody's really going to get to touch her. And if you do whoop on Scotty, they're only going to edit it to make it look like it didn't happen, so it's pointless to do it. And so I was glad that Lex didn't give in. But I don't think Lex or anybody else should care about the wigs going forward, because at the end of the day, you're on a show where people snatch off wigs all the time, rip them up, throw them over the balcony and everything. So I just feel like if you're going to come on this show, don't come on this show with any expensive wigs. Like, do what Dolly says she does and go on Amazon. But then Scotty starts calling out Dolly, bringing up the situation that happened at the Ninja Trampoline Park, where Dolly said that once her hand healed, she was fighting all the girls except for Rollie and Natalie. And I feel like Scotty felt like she was included in that, but Dolly already told her that she was not including Scotty in that situation. She said that Scotty wasn't even in her mind when she said that she was going to fight all the girls. And so I feel like Scotty just wants to hold on to that so bad, and I don't understand why, because we all knew Dolly was not going to fight Scotty. But she was trying to walk towards Scotty and security would not let her get by. I don't understand why Scotty's continuously put on this show if nobody can touch her. Like, she shouldn't be able to say anything to anybody if nobody can touch her. I just don't agree with that. Even with Russian Cream, I felt like she should have just been quiet, because she can't run her mouth and nobody can touch her because her hand is wrapped up. I feel like if you can't be touched, you shouldn't be talking shit to nobody. Tavii's kind of getting on my nerves a little bit because she tends to walk into a room at the last minute when the aftermath of something ends up happening, and then she thinks she knows the story, because she came out the other room after she was trying to comfort Fania when Fania's nose was bleeding, and she came out and she sees Dolly trying to get past security to get to Scotty, and she starts questioning why Dolly's trying to fight Scotty, and she said it was crazy. But it's like, Scotty's the one that called out Dolly. Dolly wasn't even paying her no mind. Why can Scotty call somebody out but people can't go after her if she's calling them out for a fight? But then Natalie ends up showing up with Amber Rose at the very last minute, and Natalie says that she was late because she was trying to get them to go on stage at a concert, and she wanted the girls to come after they did the beer tasting. But she looks around and she sees the girls' clothes all ripped up, their makeup's all smeared all over their faces, all of their wigs are off, their shoes are off, and she's saying that she can't bring them to the concert now because the girls look a complete mess and they'll never be able to get ready in time to go. She can thank Rollie for that though, because Rollie was definitely stirring up the drama in this episode, and although it was definitely entertaining, it definitely messed up their plans for what they were supposed to do afterwards. But these are my thoughts on this week's episode of Baddies Africa. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comment section, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video.